Welcome to the breakdown. Today we're going to be taking a look at 10 items that have become hard to find in grocery stores. Now, some of these items haven't become completely impossible to find, but they have become very limited and difficult to locate, especially if it's a particular brand you're looking for. Now, we're going to be staying away from some of the easier ones I could put on this list, like hand sanitizer, particular brands of hand soap, and more, because that's just too easy for a list like this. No, we're going to be looking at 10 other items that have struggled through this pandemic and found it very difficult to remain on store shelves. First though, if you're new here, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, and hopefully we can help you learn something new. Alright, so let's take a look at 10 items that have struggled to stay on store shelves in 2020. Again, not counting things like hand sanitizer, paper towels, and toilet paper. Number 1, tequila. Now, again, not impossible to find, but many popular brands have actually vanished in 2020 for a couple reasons. Starting off with factories shutting down. A lot of Mexican factories were furloughed during this pandemic as restrictions were put in place to slow the spread, and that forced a lot of factories to close. Other factories switched over to producing hand sanitizers or more major brands out there. This has left many smaller regional and local brands of tequila very hard to find. You add in the fact that there's been a huge jump in demand for alcohol, and now you've suddenly found yourself with limited supply of particular brands. So don't be surprised when you go to your store if you can't find that particular brand you're looking for, as it can be very hard to find. That also goes for many drinks, including Coke Zero. This is cherry flavor. So cherry Coke Zero, very hard to find. Now this is due to a few reasons. One of the big ones is actually two-factored. Number one, artificial sweetener, the type that's used in Coke Zero, has become hard to get. A lot of it comes from factories in China. While China has also shut down a lot of the factories, shipping back and forth has been difficult, as a lot of it's been redirected to personal protective gear and other items, and that has left it very difficult to go and get some other stuff like artificial sweetener. Now, it's not possible, but Coke has redirected that production from a lesser popular brand like Cherry Coke Zero over to a popular one like Coke Zero. And we're also experiencing a shortage of aluminum cans. Now, this is going to be a recurring theme here. Aluminum cans have become hard to find, factories are down, demand is up, and more. So the supply we have has been going to other places. That is why we're seeing, for example, more bottles be available in brands. You can get a 2-liter in a plastic bottle, but maybe not the cans of certain types of drinks. Or a 20-ounce pack of 20 ounces, but not cans. So keep that in mind. But Cherry Coke Zero, not completely impossible to find, but has become very hard. The same has gone with the vanilla Coke, the regular vanilla Coke that became very popular. What was that, 10 years ago now? A little over 10 years ago? How long has vanilla Coke been around? I probably should have looked at that. Let me know. But that has become very hard to find as Coke has redirected for different reasons, but the can supply has been a big one. The big reason, though, is the demand for Coke overall has gone way up, and Coke has looked around at their different brands and said, hey, which brands here do we not need to produce as much of? Which are our least popular brands? One of those was vanilla Coke. They came down and said vanilla Coke wasn't nearly as popular, according to rumor. So they redirected the production of vanilla Coke over to regular Coke to meet the demand as it was coming in. And they also probably split it between other brands. This has become pretty popular in 2020. A lot of companies have had to say, hey, we have 30 different flavors, but we can't maintain that. Part of the problem here is staffing. You may have the factory running, but can you get people back? A local restaurant here had to shut down dining. They're now doing drive-through only because they said a couple of their staff members went on vacation. They were already 5 people short. They've been hiring. They've raised pay. They're offering a signing bonus and more. Can't get them. Spartan Nash Foods, hiring, can't get enough people. Another place that's hiring, a factory just down the road from me, is hiring $1,000 signing bonus. Cannot get enough people to fill their factory right now. Employment is high, but a lot of people are choosing to stay in unemployment rather than going back to work. And that has affected some of these manufacturers saying, hey, we may also not only need to look at which products are more popular, but which products do we want to put our staffing on? And that's what's happening here, I think, with some of these products. Now, of course, Coke hasn't come out and publicly said that, but that's what we're seeing in the grapevine come out in the conversations, that's kind of the demand we're hearing. So let me know if you've experienced that in your workforce, struggling to get people out there. And the last Coke product that's really affecting has been the Coke Caffeine Free. We're seeing that a lot, that Coke Caffeine Free is very hard to find. When you are finding it, very limited supplies of it. And again, same reasons as the other brands, Coke is just saying it's not that popular. Let's not put a lot of effort into it, because why are we putting effort into supplement that's not nearly as popular as our main product when we could put that effort into the main product, get a lot more sales from it? The other thing that's really becoming hard to find right now is heat lamps and outdoor heaters. As the weather cools off, restaurants are scrambling, and other places too, to buy up as many of the outdoor heaters as they can to continue to offer outdoor heating, eating, and seating and more. We've even seen large outdoor tents become hard to find. Not impossible in both of these, because they're still being manufactured, but it's almost as fast as they're hitting store shelves, they're being picked up, because restaurants and other places are trying to get these to expand their seating. A large outdoor tent that can be heated can expand the number of tables back to maybe the original size of the restaurant, for example. If they can set that up in the parking lot or other areas, they can maybe help offset the loss. You know, restaurants plan on having so many tables, so many seats, they need to hit that. So heaters, outdoor heaters, especially those heat lamps, those tall stick ones that kind of heat tables and other areas, are hard to find. Not impossible, but definitely a huge demand, definitely a huge spike increase. Not seeing sales on those this year, but we're seeing them. All right, Coke isn't the only one struggling. Dr. Pepper's been struggling too, and they have seemingly canceled a big product, at least temporarily, in the Dr. Pepper cream soda. It was a fairly newer addition to their lineup, and I don't want to say it was a new product, but when looking at their lineup, it was newer. And they've definitely cut back on it. I've also noticed some other brands like RC Cola, which kind of falls under some of those different things, has become harder to find too. But for Dr. Pepper, the cream soda is what they've cut back on to focus. There was a report earlier this year that Dr. Pepper was really struggling to get their hands on aluminum cans, as Coke and Pepsi and some of the bigger competitors had kind of bought up the available supply when some of the factories shut down. Now it seems they got it, but they're focusing heavily on Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper, for example. Now, keep a close eye on this. Dr. Pepper is a big player, but they don't have quite the weight of a Coke and a Pepsi to throw around. If we see another aluminum can shortage because of another factory shutdown, etc., Dr. Pepper could be one of the earlier signs of this. Beer companies, Pepsi, Coke, have a lot more weight. They buy a lot more than Dr. Pepper does, even though Dr. Pepper is large. By the way, really cool factory tour, museum in Waco, Texas. Check it out. But keep that in mind. Odwalla, O-D-W-A-L-L-A. These are juice drinks that were a Coca-Cola brand product out there, I believe, if I remember correctly. That has been completely discontinued. As 2020 did its thing, the parent company behind these drinks, Odwalla? I am butchering this. I'm notorious for that, for my dyslexia. Somebody comment if I'm even remotely close. But O-W-L-A-L-L-A. These popular drinks were all over the stores with many different juices and different flavors of carrots and different fruits and vegetables, all ground up into different drinks, are now officially discontinued. While they weren't unprofitable, they just weren't profitable enough to justify dealing with it in this pandemic. So be interesting to see how many more of these niche drinks, these smaller drinks out there that are struggling with everything happening, that are now being discontinued. I'm going to keep a close eye on this, but I bet it's going to become more popular than you think in the few years if this all continues. Speaking of, Minute Maid Zero Sugar Lemonade has been hard to find. One of the things really killing this one is the artificial sweetener used is the same one, or at least a similar one to what Coke Zero uses, and it comes from China, and that means that they're struggling to get their hands on it, so they've actually greatly reduced production of it. Not impossible to find, just a lot harder. Same thing with local craft beers. We talked about Dr. Pepper struggling to get cans when competing against, large beer companies, Pepsi, Coke. Local craft beers have really struggled with this. And that's one of the reasons why they've become very hard to find in local stores. Not impossible, there are some out there, but they've definitely become a lot more reduced. And we've seen a trend of them moving over to glass bottles to try to meet demand, because glass bottles are a lot easier to find right now than aluminum cans, or at least they have been over the summer. There's been reports that maybe 20 to 50% of local craft beer companies have struggled to reach the demand for their product at local grocery stores. Have you had a favorite craft beer you haven't been able to get? Leave me a comment, let me know. And we may actually have a complete unconfirmed victim of 2020 in Pip Extra. Now, Pip was Coke's response to Dr. Pepper, and it's kind of become a cult following. Hard to find in some places at times, and there are dedicated fans who go at great lengths to get their hands on it. Well, in 2020, it's become a lot harder, with entire states and more struggling to get any supply of Mr. Pip Extra. And it sounds like that's not going to be coming back anytime soon in the numbers that you used to. Really what we're seeing here is the three problems. Supplies, things like particular ingredients like sweetener, cans, and more have become hard to find. Factories shutting down or factories switching to other products is the other problem. Tequila and others are going over to hand sanitizer. Some companies like Coke are switching smaller brand production to larger brand to meet demand. And lastly, some companies are just taking the opportunity to say, hey, this is an okay product, it's not nearly as profitable, this is a good time to get away from it as we struggle to have employees to fill the necessary spots. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the years to come. If this trend continues, we'll see what happens. But let me know, is there a particular product you have loved that's become hard to find in 2020? Leave me a comment, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. All right, that's it for today. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets everybody know you enjoy what we do here. And hopefully we can help you learn something new. Thanks for your support. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, everybody.